This is your book. This is inshallah soon going to be studied at Medina University. There's some people that are going to look at that and think, who do you think you are? You got audacity. Where does that come from?
In order to explain that, I think I should explain how it changed me.
Who is Muhammad al-Andalusi? Where did he start?
I failed every single subject at school. 8, 9 years old, and I was sent to the countryside. Islam was not present in my life. God was not present in my life. There was racism.
What kind of impact did that have on you?
That made me feel like I didn't belong nowhere. I would actually cry, go to the room and I would cry. I feel like I needed a role model. Now here's when the deen starts to come in. Put me in a class, there was a Turkish guy and he showed me Surah Al-Fatiha in his phone. Like it was the first time I hear in Quran.
So now having learned the Arabic language, what was that moment when you opened the Quran and understood it? And how did that feel?
Wallahi akhi.
This Ramadan, we're trying to get people to change their life with the permission of Allah. That's it. None of this sins, recklessness, being distant from Allah. It's long. Now it's time for you to come back. That's why the whole theme on this podcast and on my Instagram has been Ramadan. Now, I want to know, are you benefiting? Is this helping you change your life? Is this helping you get close to Allah? Ramadan with the Mandem is the podcast that we've got for this month. I just want to know, are you benefiting? Now, if you are, this is how you can let me know. Just click the subscribe button. If you click the subscribe button, we can actually measure how many people click subscribe based on every particular video. Now, based on you doing this, we will know that this is beneficial for you. And then the stuff that gets the most subscriptions, we know is the most beneficial. Then we know to do more of that stuff more often in that way, which ultimately means that you're going to benefit more again and again and again. So if you want to benefit more and you want us to create more things that are actually helping you, hit the subscribe button. Makes sense. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, welcome back to another episode of Ramadan with the Mandem. Today we're here, alhamdulillah, with Ustadh Muhammad once again.
Jazakumullah khairan for having me.
You're heavily demanded, on this YouTube channel.
MashaAllah, Jazakumullah khairan.
Allah barik. Came on to Righteous and Rich, he done the mad thing.
I mean, I think we do a good, we have a good synergy.
There's a good vibe.
No.
Definitely.
No.
MashaAllah.
Allah barik.
Alhamdulillah.
Sheikh, so Ramadan with the Mandem, man. Here we're trying to get into your head and just get inspired.
No.
Through your journey, your life, struggles, ups and downs, smiles and frowns. And
Who is Muhammad al-Andalusi? Where did he start? What's his origin story?
I mean, the fact that you just you mentioned it, gave me a brief background on what it's going to be about. I was already putting myself into it, and yeah, sometimes it's hard to think about experiences in the past, And in the past 2 days as well, I was working on the landing page of our new Andalusi Institute. $99 a month, by the way, you get your money back. If you complete the program.
I saw that was amazing.
No.
You track how much money you're getting back throughout.
Yeah.
And then it shows how much is going to charity.
1 second. It's $99 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And if you complete the entire program,
you get your money back.
You get everything you paid, you get it back.
Yeah. And we use 1% of what you pay every month for
charity.
sadaqah.
And they show you how much your sadaqah is amounting to throughout the whole course. It's sick. It looks sick, Allah barik.
Crazy offer, huh?
Allah, that's a crazy offer.
No, we're trying to get 1,000 before and after.
That's a crazy offer.
Stories. Because we have a few of them. Is the most inspiring thing is to see someone, so I don't know Arabic, I want to learn Arabic for the sake of Allah, that. Then 1.5 years later, alhamdulillah, أنا تعلمت العربية من المعهد الأندلسي. SubhanAllah, that's crazy. So we're trying to have 1,000 stories like this on our website. So then we can go to Medina University, we can go to Jamiat al-Malik ibn Saud.
You're trying to give them your syllabus.
And we're trying to tell them, look, this book,
Allahumma barik. That's the plan.
1,000 people learned through this.
That's the plan.
That's the plan, yeah.
I rate the vision, bro. That's mad. No. You're trying to redo the curriculum for Jamiat al-Islamiyya, Medina University.
No. Because when I met, when I met Sheikh Abdul Rahim.
Yes. Rahimahullah ta'ala.
Last year. And then a few months later.
Just give an introduction for the people so they don't know, because they may not know.
Sheikh Abdul Rahim, Dr. Abdul Rahim is an Indian scholar who's the author of the Medina books. He taught in Medina University for 30 years. He of course was heavily focused on teaching non-Arabs the Arabic language. And he has a PhD in philology, linguistics in Al-Azhar University.
Okay, wow.
And I think it's enough to say that, he's the author of the Medina books. Everybody knows that.
Allah barik, Medina books.
So I met him in Medina, and he just highly inspired me to just come up with my own thing.
And it's his curriculum that they use in Medina
in
University.
Medina University now. And so talking to him was like, I realized that a lot of things, because of his, generation or whatever, the way how he authored the book is based on his experience and based on how he grew up and based on how he learned Arabic, etc. And I have my own experience, and I feel like, call it like يعني
What bias?
تعجب بالنفس or والعياذ بالله, but I feel like my experience was even like the curriculum that I could build based on my experience, it would even be more beneficial.
Because when you come from the West, it's completely different.
No.
Completely different.
No.
So sorry, go on.
Yeah, because there's a lot of context that goes into the curriculum, the text, what is said in the text, the whole grammar, vocabulary, debate, and he just inspired me. And then I met the author of the Arabic Studies books, which I would say is the two books that are the most
the two
known.
main ones.
Yeah, most famous.
And as well, he highly inspired me. He didn't author it himself alone, but talking to them, and both of them agreed that I asked them one question. I said, do you believe that to teach the Arabic language, somebody who didn't know the Arabic language and learned it and went through the struggle of not knowing and all the bumps and difficulties that there is in the journey, do you think this type of person would be more qualified to teach it? And both of them agreed, subhanAllah. One is Arab, the other one is Indian. So I was like,
The one who is non-Arab is more qualified.
yeah, the one that's non-Arab, that learned from scratch, that didn't know Arabic. And then there was a realization when the guys that market the books of Al Arabic and Arabic, they requested me to promote it on my channel.
What?
And I was like, okay, I'll do that, but you know what? I think
I make my
you
own.
guys are showing me now that I need to come up with my own one.
Let me see this.
No.
So, Allah, but this right here, كشف المفردات. I've been seeing this on your Instagram.
No.
I've been seeing it in the videos. Allah barik. I couldn't see the small print, but that's you.
Yeah.
You're the mu'allif.
Yeah.
This is your book. Allah barik.
No.
So this is inshallah soon going to be studied
Yeah.
bi'idhnillah with university. You know what?
It's a 5, 10, 15 year vision, but
Allah barik.
well, inshallah.
May Allah give you tawfiq.
Ameen, ya Rabb.
You know, there's some people that are going to look at that and think, who do you think you are?
No.
Very few are going to look at that and think, Allahumma barik.
No.
Laugh, but don't worry. We'll show with time. Akhi, what I love about you is you got jur'ah, akhi. You got audacity, bro. Where does that come from?
I know,
You're
right?
audacious, bro. And I
Who
love
are
that.
you? Who are you?
Yeah, but that's good though.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? That you've got the nerve. You've got the nerve to say, inshallah.
To rock the cage.
And you know what I love about that, akhi? Is that some of the greatest ulama, they had that.
Yeah.
They had that. If I'm not mistaken,
Sheikh Al-Albani is a great example, and he went against a lot of norms and
a lot of just
customs.
Sibawayh, rahimahullah ta'ala, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, he was insulted for his Arabic at the beginning because he made lahan, and he went back and became the father of Arabic grammar, as it were.
SubhanAllah. Yeah, this topic gives me goosebumps, akhi, I swear, because it reminds me of Ibn Hazm, rahimahullah, when he was, he entered the masjid, he prayed 2 rak'ahs, and then he was told, you shouldn't pray 2 rak'ahs right now. He came back, he didn't pray them. He said, why are you not praying 2 rak'ahs? So they put him in a whole situation where he made him feel like he doesn't know. He doesn't have knowledge. He said, you know what, watch. And he went and learned and became Ibn Hazm. So I think as that's just from ulu al-himma, man. You have to
What's ulu
have
al-himma?
that.
What is that? What is ulu al-himma?
Ulu al-himma is high aspirations, and of course with that comes believing in yourself, and I just look at everyone. Just right now, I actually answered a question on my Instagram. They asked me, "What's your manhaj?" I said Quran, Sunnah, and according to the understanding of the first 3 generations. And I on purpose added no blind following of nobody except the Prophet
Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I love that.
Because I feel like if you read about Ahl al-Hadith and, Hadith being Ummahat in the sciences of knowledge. I look at everything the scholars used to take for somebody to be trustworthy, and I try to apply that in my life. How I talk to people, how I keep my word, how I walk outside, not to spit, cover your head. It's things that are not haram to do or not, you're not obliged to do. But when you do them, it makes you a more respectable person.
Yeah.
So from amongst those things, if you read about people of hadith who used to narrate a hadith, is they will have this. Who are you? It's just that hiba and that how you carry yourself and how you believe in yourself. And it reminds me of Imam Bukhari when they try him.
And believing in yourself
test him.
here, it doesn't mean that you rely on yourself, but it means izzatun nafs. I think that's what you mean, right?
No.
Self-respect.
It's having self-respect and understanding that if you are submitted to Allah Azza wa Jal, you need to keep an image because people sees the religion through you. So, to me, it doesn't make sense that I'm submitted to Allah Azza wa Jal, who is the commander of the most, the commander of the commanders. And I'm like a soldier that's all miskin, humble, these, that. No, try me. We're gonna go crazy. I'm about to come up with these. I'm about to come up with a vision. I'm about to shut everybody's mouth, all the haters' mouth. This is how I look at things. I'm submitted to Allah Azza wa Jalla. I must be the best version of myself just because I'm submitted to Allah Azza wa Jalla, because people see the deen through me. So why wouldn't I want to show that?
So take us.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say was, Allah that whole energy and that whole high aspiration that you have connected to just in life in general, mashallah, tabarakallah. One of the areas that you focus that is with regards to the Quran, right? As well, you've been focused on hifz of the Quran here, Ramadan being the month of the Quran. One thing that it's really just dawned upon me this Ramadan, something that of course is known, but it just really hit me, was how the reason why the Quran was sent down, which was for tadabbur. Right? Allah said, we sent this Quran so that you could ponder over it. لِيَدَّبَّرُوا. So you can ponder over its ayat.
Mm-hmm.
But the pondering over the ayat, it can't happen without understanding. And Allah just this year, it just really hit me. And I was just thinking, all of our brothers and sisters, subhanAllah al-Azim, who don't know Arabic.
No.
And Arabic's the starting point. You got to have some basic tafsir. And the more tafsir you know, the more you can expand in your tadabbur, right? Because the meaning has to be restricted to what the intended meaning was when it came down upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's just so painful, man, to know that there are people that never can experience just that beauty that's within the Quran.
Yeah.
Because they don't know the Arabic language. So what can you say to our brothers and sisters that watch Ramadan to increase their aspiration right now with regards to learning Arabic so they can understand the speech of the Lord?
Yeah, to be honest, in order to explain that, I think I should explain how it changed me, and how going way back, I will need a good 50 minutes to explain why you should learn the Arabic language, because it all started. And like I said earlier, I was pondering on my journey and the things. Sometimes you ask me why you like this, where does this come from? And I don't know how to answer it. So I was thinking back about my upbringing.
Where were you born?
I was born in Barcelona, Spain.
You lived there your whole life, or?
And I grew up in Spain until I was 14.
Okay.
But the thing is, when I was born, I was the fifth child. My mom, she had me when she was 45 years old.
Wow.
So there was a big difference of age in between me and the brother and my siblings, basically. So
you were the youngest?
I was the youngest, and the one after me was Ahmed, who had Down syndrome.
Okay.
And he was 98% paralyzed, meaning my mom, she would take care of him from morning to afternoon. It's not even he couldn't even eat by himself, couldn't go to the toilet by himself. It was a full-time job after her full-time job, basically. So I would wake up and my mom, she would already be gone to work. After she spent, I remember my mom, subhanAllah, she always is that type of person. She always went to sleep early and at 4 a.m. was already awake, like before Fajr by an hour because of those responsibilities. And even though my brother passed away, rahimahullah, like 3 years ago, until today, my mom, she still has that habit, subhanAllah. But anyways, that's a side point. After me was Ahmed. And so the thing is, my mom, she would spend her whole day working, half of the day working, like from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. And then she would come home and she would take care of my brother.
This Ramadan, I challenge you. I challenge you to get rich and quit your sins. That's right. We're trying to get 1,000 people this Ramadan to go from being sinning and skint to being righteous and rich. One of the things that prevents riches in this life and the next is sins. And overcoming these sins can be an extremely difficult task. But there's a science to overcoming sins. Literally a step-by-step formula that will help you overcome the sins regardless of how deep you are in that sin and regardless of what that sin is. This formula combined with the help of Allah will grant you success inshallah ta'ala and set you up for richness in this life and the next. Now, during this challenge, I'm not just going to be showing you how to make tawbah and come back to Allah. I'm actually going to be showing you how to get rich from the Quran and Sunnah. Remember, Allah is Ar-Razaq, the one who provides. So it only makes sense that we learn how to access the provision, the richness from Al-Ghani, the one who is the most rich and sufficient and not in need of anyone. So in order to participate in this challenge, which is free by the way, all you have to do is click the link below and join the 30-day Tawbah challenge this Ramadan. So what are you waiting for? Click the link below now. Let's get back to the podcast now, peace.
So, like I said, I was pondering about my upbringing, and my father wasn't, I don't have memories at that age about my father. My father wasn't around. He had his jobs as well, and he was in and out of the house. And I feel like, of course, they did the efforts, but pondering because of I'm trying to be a good father, right, and a good parent. Pondering about that, I'm seeing about what is the things that I like that made me a certain way or made me another way, and how I am as well in regards of, you know, in my romantic relationships, and how good are you at expressing your emotions, and how awkward you feel when you have to express, you know, your inner thoughts and stuff like that. So I was thinking about all of that. So the point is, I grew up like that, and then my father, when I was around 8 years old, my father left to Paris, and he was living in Paris, and I was living with my mom there. And the thing is, because my mom didn't have time with me, and yeah, my father wasn't around, my mom wasn't too strict, so I was outside all the time. I was outside, I was going to school, and yeah, I was just bad in general. I was just like the other day I was telling my family, it's crazy how I have never experienced being tired because of school. Like, I would never do my homework, I would never
should do work.
Feel tired. I would go to school just for the attendance, and I leave school and I don't care what teachers say next day, etc. My mom can't really handle me. So the first school I went to, I got kicked out.
What was the environment like in Spain? Obviously, we know about the UK, right?
Yeah.
Was there a lot of racism? Was Islam prevalent?
Yeah, that's what I get to right now. Because the thing is,
was violence common?
It was violence from. I wasn't involved in it, but my neighborhood was a Latin King neighborhood.
Oh wow, okay.
So there were, at that time, there was gangs going on, but we were looked at, Latin Kings were all Latinos, and in our neighborhood they knew us by being, me and a friend that I had, they would call us African, or they just African. So there was racism from the side of when I got kicked out of that school, I was maybe like 8-9 years old, and I was sent to the countryside where my sister was living with her husband. There is the countryside. So I would be the only black dude in the whole school. I would be, of course, the only Muslim. And that's not even like, even being Muslim at that time, I didn't understand what it was. Islam was not present in my life. God was not present in my life. And on top of that, I was around these Spanish people. my sisters and siblings weren't practicing either. My mom didn't have time. She accepted Islam 14 years after marrying my father. My father was in Paris, so everybody was on their own thing. So when I went to my sister's house, of course, sister brother type of relationship is not like mother child. She would like, yeah, just go out, whatever.
Yeah.
She would let me do whatever I want to do as well. So when I was there, it was there was racism. It wasn't like crazy, but yeah, I remember once they called me Cheetah. You know, Cheetah the monkey, the Tarzan is a monkey basically in the Tarzan cartoons. And,
Okay.
so they will call you monkey. They will call you obviously negro, mulatto, etc. And to be honest, no.
What kind of impact did that have on you?
Yeah, that was that made me feel like I didn't belong nowhere. Because even though I'm Spanish and I speak Spanish fluently, because I'm black, I don't like you guys will never. You guys always ask me where I'm from. I was born here. I don't know. I'm born here. I've never been at that time. I've never been in Senegal. So that's all I know. Spain, Catalonia. So the people keep asking, where you from? Where you from? No, but I mean your father. Where's he from? So you always have that sense of like you don't belong here. So long story short, from this situation in 2006, it was the first time I went to Senegal. And we went, my father, my sister, a friend of hers. So when we got to Senegal, they have this thing in Senegal. Anybody that's West African will understand this. They have this thing where if you're not black, if you're not Senegalese, fully Senegalese, in the street, they will call you Tubab, which means white.
Oh, okay.
Right?
But they mean foreigner.
They just mean white. You're white. If you're not black like them, you're white.
Okay.
So when I was there, they kept on calling me white. You know, it coming from Spain, where in my mind as a young, you know, lost little boy that doesn't know where he fits, going to Senegal now and they call you white, it's like,
what's going on?
Yeah, like
These men don't want me. These men don't. Yeah.
So subhanAllah, that trip though made me want to learn French for some reason, because I went to my family was very nice, but the neighborhood I was just entertainment basically. Oh, look at the white, what he gonna do? Was he? They would say they would really violate me, man. They would say, so they have these stereotypes, right? So they would say, where is your sexual member? Meaning, are you even circumcised? You dirty.
Okay.
And they keep on, and all of these things, until today, I still remember, subhanAllah, like I would go to my father and I would say, yeah, you know, they saying this, and my father would just laugh at my face. And me, it would hurt me. I would actually cry and go to the room and I would cry like, yo, like, man, I'm trying to play with them and they keep joking on me. You know, it's like you're trying to play with people like, you doing, like you're a little.
You're the joke. You're
the
clown
joke of the whole neighborhood.
The jester.
So it was, it didn't feel good, man. It didn't feel good. But then that trip, I was like, I can't understand my family because they only speak Wolof. But some of them, the youngest, they speak French. So I wish I spoke French so I can
relate to them.
Yeah. So like I said, my father was already in Paris for like 3 years at that time. And in that trip, I requested to go live with him. And I generally think I needed to be around my father. That's when I realized that.
Why was that?
Because growing up, it was like, I've always had that sense of, I feel like I needed a role model. Now, I was always around my mom. My mom, she was busy with my brother. And yeah, I didn't have no role models. I didn't have no sense of masculinity around. So I feel like I was naturally inclined to ask for my father to go live with him in Paris. So he agreed, and that time I was heavily into basketball. When I was in that countryside, they sent me a letter from the Barcelona basketball club, and I mean that's big in Spain. Oh, Barcelona basketball club wants you to play with them, but at that time I was in I didn't really care about basketball. I had the talent, but I didn't really care like that. I just wanted to play the game, and that's it. I'm not too interested about becoming professional. So when I went to I went to Paris to live with my father. So we used to live in this 1-bedroom apartment. I remember it was super cold, and my father was I don't know if he was stingy, but he didn't want to turn on the fire, the heater. And I was like, yo, like it's cold. And, oh man, you always complaining. It's not that cold. It was 1-bedroom apartment. I remember there was water falling off the walls from how cold it was. Oh, wow. And yeah, it was a type of situation where I was in an environment where it wasn't too nice living in that apartment, but I was generally happy that I was with my father, and I remember playing with him, jumping on. I wanted to rough play with him. I remember jumping on him on the bed and on his stomach and doing this whole smackdown and things like that.
How old?
And that time was 12, I think, 12, 13.
Oh, okay.
So now here's the funny story, right? I always had this identity crisis. I'm white in Spain, black in Senegal. Now I got two friends. I remember the first day I went to school. First of all, I felt like I was in a movie, in these American movies, because the school was super big. In Spain, the schools are not that big. So they give you you have this calendar. Keep in mind, I don't know French. You have this calendar, and you're supposed to figure out what class and what number of the class you're supposed to go to. So I entered the school, and I guess I looked lost. So there was this Caribbean light-skinned girl. She came up to me. She said, "Oh, yeah." She started speaking French. I don't know French. She's like, "Yeah, you whatever." I'm like, "Yeah." So she said, "Okay, come with me. I'll bring you to school, to the class." So I went to the class, but that situation, I mean, the fact that I still remember today, it did something to me, because I was like, hey. So I feel like she liked me or something, you know. So I went to the class. I did my first class. When I left the class, it was her and like 5 or 6 of her friends waiting for me, and I was like, "Yo, like what's going on?" I'm new in that class. Imagine the situation, the embarrassment, and the awkwardness. New in a school, new in a class. You got late. You was late, so you enter the class, everybody's looking at you. Now you live in the class, there's like 6 girls waiting for you. And they asking me to spend the break with them. There's a break, right, in the morning. So I went and spent the break with them, and it's almost like a prison yard. So I was sitting on a corner with them, and they were just talking. Me, I'm looking around, right? Like the nature of the men, like
scope it out. Yeah.
I'm just looking around. I see the typical group in the school with their hoods on, and they're just looking at me like. And I'm super awkward, but at the same time, I'm learning French with these girls because they speaking a lot. So I was just talking to them, and yeah, they were one thing as well. When we were sitting in that break, that same girl that took me to the class, she kept saying something in French. She kept saying "t'es trop beau, t'es trop beau, t'es trop beau." At that time, I didn't know what it means. I was saying, what? I don't know what you're talking about. I had a dictionary with me, Spanish, French. So I gave her the dictionary, and I told her, "What is this? What are you trying to say?" So she looked up the word handsome.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So now I'm there, and they calling me métis. They calling me light skin. I came from Spain. I was white. Now in Senegal, I was black. Now here I'm light skin. I think this is where I'm supposed to be at. That's like, now they accept me. They like me. I feel comfortable here. So when I got to France, it was...
How do you say light skin in French?
Métis.
Métis.
No.
Okay.
So when that situation really made me feel comfortable now. Like, yo, I like French, man. I mean, who doesn't, right? Like, you first day in school. But yeah, first day in school, I was like, yo, I think French is cool, man. I like French. And that boosts me. That generally boosts me. One specific thing that I know, how when you feel comfortable in an environment, you become better at different skills, is because in 2007, I failed every single subject at school. every single one, except on the second term. You have 2 terms. The second term, I passed math, but the rest, the whole year, failed. Like literally, the grade was 0. When I got to Friends on 28, that was 2008, 2007, 2008, that year, my grade was 18.8 out of 19.
Oh, wow.
So my grades went from a failure to excellent
Almost
grades.
100%.
Yeah. And the reason I know is because I felt good. I felt good going to school. It was cool. People, they cool there, etc., etc. Now here's when the deen starts to come in.
Escaping hellfire never got so easy. What on earth am I talking about? There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ which blows my mind till today. How easy it is to have your sins forgiven and to be freed and saved from hell. There's a hadith in the Sahih of Imam Ibn Khuzaymah where the Prophet ﷺ said, anyone who helps someone break their fast at the time of iftar, he gives them food to break their fast with, 3 things will happen. Number 1, his sins will be forgiven. Number 2, his neck will be freed from the hellfire. Number 3, he will get the reward of the fasting person without that reward being reduced from the one who actually fasted himself. All he has to do is give them food. Now some of the Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, but not all of us have food to be able to break someone's fast with. And the Prophet ﷺ said, you can do it by giving them a date. If you don't have a date, you can give them a sip of water or milk. If you give someone a sip of water and milk, it could be a reason for your sins to be forgiven and for you to be freed from the hellfire. This is one of the easiest ways to get to Jannah. Now, of course, you have to still do all of the obligations, but this as something on top in the month of Ramadan, guys, is a huge reward for something that doesn't take a lot of effort. Now, Humanity Care Relief is a charity that we've collaborated with this Ramadan who are helping to feed people all around the world, in Syria, in Yemen, in the Muslim world, wherever the Muslims are struggling, they are helping the Muslims to break their fast so they have food in this blessed month. All you have to do is click the link below and donate as generously as you can for them to be able to get that money that you're going to give to them, convert it into food and feed these people. And you may have your sins forgiven, and you may be freed from the hellfire, and you may get the reward of all of those people who are fasting on top of your fast, inshallah ta'ala. So click the link below and check it out. With that said, let's go back to the podcast.
Because in Spain, as I told you, I'm in a school where I'm the only black dude, let alone Muslim. So nobody really cares, you're just the black dude. But when you get to Friends, people are very, and this is something I've seen, the difference in between the UK and Friends, is that in the UK, if I ask you, where you from? You say, oh, East London, West London, London. And now, in Friends, you say, where you from? They say, I'm Moroccan, I'm Senegalese, I'm Caribbean. So over there, your background,
It means a lot.
it means a lot. And with backgrounds comes religion. So when I got there, my name is Mamadou, which is the typical, it's like John for a white dude,
It
right?
means Muhammad, right?
Yeah, it means Muhammad.
Yeah.
But Mamadou is the typical dark-skinned dude.
Yeah.
Actually met a brother, remember?
Mamadou, yeah.
Mamadou.
He was-
Konate Bakery. He's got a bakery in Sharjah.
He was black, right?
Yeah.
Right,
From France as well.
right.
Yeah.
So when you're with friends, if you ask him, tell him, I know this, I know Mamadou, show me to him. He was like, Mamadou? Like the first thing he was like, how is he? Oh, he's mixed. Oh, okay, got you. Like there's always, every time I would say my name, they would ask me, what's your name? Like those girls, they were laughing at me. You joking? You're a liar, Mamadou. You cannot be a Mamadou. Look at you. You like Caribbean or something. And I was, that was the year of the whole era of Nelly, Ludacris, and
Those guys.
and Neo, and all these guys. So I was wearing my baggy clothes and my fitted caps, etc.
Fubu.
Yeah, Fubu,
Rockaway,
Sun
Enichi.
John.
Echo.
No,
Academics.
exactly.
Averex.
Oh, that one.
The big jackets.
So people would look at me, expecting me to be Caribbean,
So you're half Senegalese and half
Spanish.
Spanish.
No.
Okay.
So when I would say my name is Mamadou, they would say, bro, stop lying, you lying. And with that came, I remember the first time, now I started to meet people, right? I know by sight at least people, hey, I do. So when you go to the they call it like canteen, is the way you eat, right? You have lines, Muslims, halal food, non-halal food. So I'm standing on the halal food. My father told me you gotta stay on the halal food, but like I told you, Islam wasn't present at all in my house.
In France, they had that.
Yeah.
Bro, even in UK, they didn't have that. They didn't have no separate halal.
No, but they'll give you halal food though. The
They'll give you fish.
reason why they probably didn't have a halal food line at the time is because, remember, like 20% of France is Muslim. The populations.
In the UK, we never had no halal food section. As in, we just had to eat the vegetarian stuff or fish.
Right.
But now I think they got halal food in schools, in areas where it's predominant.
Is it?
In France, it was heavy.
France, 20% of the country is Muslim.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm standing on this line, and people now, certain individuals, they like, "Oh, you Muslim?" Like, I guess I don't know. Yeah. Like at that time, it was generally like this.
Like that.
I guess, yeah. I mean, yeah, my father is. Yeah, I see him pray sometimes. Yeah. So in friends, like amongst youth, it's very present. Islam is very present. It's like, you Muslim though, right? Like if you insult the deen in a school, it's a whole bro. Like everybody's gonna start fighting. Yeah, he insulted the deen. He insulted the prophet. He insulted the deen. This teacher, she said something about Islam. It's going crazy.
Even now?
Yeah, even now. And now probably even more. That's 2007, 8. So I remember there was different synchronicities happening like this where Islam kept on coming up. And I felt like Ibn Hazm, as we were saying, like, you don't know this? Like, you Muslim, right? You don't know? You don't pray? You don't? And I generally felt embarrassed. But at the same time, I had this non-blind following
mentality.
Yeah, I was very independent in my thoughts, in my opinions, etc. So little by little, I started to. There was a Turkish guy, so they put me in a class where for people who don't know French, there was a Turkish guy, and he said, "You Muslim, right? Your name, Mamadou Mahmoud," and he showed me Surah Al-Fatiha in his phone. And I said, send it to me. He sent it to me. It was generally, I remember, subhanAllah, it was like it was the first time I hear Quran recited.
SubhanAllah.
Imagine growing up in a Muslim family, right? My parents both were Muslim when I was born. So I was generally impressed, like, oh, this Quran, subhanAllah, oh, okay, yeah, send it to me. And when I went home, I showed my father, look, there's a friend in my class, he sent me this. My father was surprised. Oh, Quran, yeah, he's a good friend. Yeah, stay with him. Stay with him.
Back in those days with the phones, you had to hold them together and there was the infrared.
Infrared, yeah.
I think it was Bluetooth or something like that.
Before Bluetooth. You have to hold the sensor to the sensor.
Yeah,
and then
I don't know how he even sent it to me. But yeah, I got home and my father was surprised. I was like, oh, yeah, Islam, yeah. And I think, my father and my mom, they didn't have much knowledge in Islam. They love the deen, but they don't know how to convey it.
Yeah.
And of course, they're busy with their own life, etc. So the fact of me bringing it to my father, he was super surprised. But that wasn't enough for me to start practicing. Or at that time, I was like, 15, 16. So I kept on living my life in France for 3 years. Now I started dancing a dance called crump dancing.
The style.
Yeah, and it was started by a heavily Christian believer.
Okay.
Right, so for them it's kind of like, it's like a worship thing.
Holy Spirit.
Yeah, but from my side, it was the movie of Stomp the Yard came out those years. He was in the movie, the creator of the dance. So there was.
By the way, guys, we're just talking about a story in Jahiliyyah. No one's promoting dancing or hanging out with girls in school.
No,
or crump dancing.
It's highly like you learn a lot from these from me being transparent, to realize how all of these things tied up.
Because your own children are going to be going in school. You've probably been in school and so on and so forth. And
you can't avoid this type of situation.
You can learn how to avoid them.
So I was led towards that, right? I was led towards that, and there was a group that was heavily connected to the originaries in the US. So Friends was kind of like the second big group of these dance. So little by little, I started to get involved in this, like really involved. Like I won the 2009 European competition in 2010 as well, and it was just funny because it was kind of like basketball. Like I had the talent, but I didn't really care about it. Now I remember once in 2000 and I think it was 10, the originator came to Paris, and he did a session. He started dancing. And he started like crying, heavily crying, and I remember at that time, I was, for some reason, like I told you, it was different synchronicities happening. It's different, right? Islam was already coming up, so every time I would have the opportunity, I would hear Islam coming up. And at that time, I got into that period of my life where you look up for this ghost called life on YouTube, person possessed. But I'm not looking at it from the perspective of Islam.
Just interesting.
Yeah, like yo, ghost.
Ajib,
Oh, that's crazy. But watching those videos on YouTube, it brought me little by little to jinn. It's like, wait, jinn, and now I started to see that related to Islam. So I had that in the back of my mind as well. Now, when this guy came into Paris, and he started crying and dancing, and he was like just like dancing crazy. I was like, yo,
he's possessed.
I think he got a jinn, bro. I mean, beginning of mind, I'm not practicing.
Holy Spirit.
I'm not practicing yet. And he was heavily. One thing though, he used to, like, Tawheed al-Rububiyyah with him was on point. He was always talking about God. You need to worship God and God and God and God. So being in France, all of these different things keep on bringing me to God and religion and Islam. And so there was one brother who I told you guys about last time. He used to be in it with me.
Yeah.
And he just disappeared for long months. And one day I found him, I bumped into him in the street. He was wearing a white thobe. So I said, what's going on, man? Where were you? Didn't come to the sessions on Sundays and this and that. And he said, yeah, I'm practicing Islam now. I stopped that. I don't wanna dance anymore. This, that. He said, come to my house. I'll show you something. So he brought me to his house. He showed me the video of Abdul Hakim and Ismail Bimon, rahimahullah, and Abu Bakr Islam in Medina University. And he told me, that's where I want to be, bro. I want to go there and study Islam and this and that. And at that time, I already had another experience, which was with all of these different situations. I opened the book, the Quran in Spanish, and I tried to understand it. And it was just, it was one of those experiences. I opened it, I tried to read it, I didn't understand, and I left it.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it was like, I think I need to learn Arabic to understand this book. And that was in the back of my mind. So long months later, when I met this brother and he showed me that, he told me, yeah, there's these students learning Islam and Arabic and so on. For me, it was like, wow. So there's people who are like me. Generally, at that time, I was thinking that who are like me,
are doing this,
who are young, doing this. Wow, this is cool, man. I wanna.
Oh yeah, because mashallah,
because the identity crisis. So in my mind, in Spain, keep in mind, it's only Moroccans. You go to the masjid, it's only old people and they're all Moroccans. So you don't feel like
your people are Muslim.
Yeah. So now when I see all these brothers young and these talking English.
Have you met Abu Bakr yet?
Met him once, yeah. But it was like a quick thing. Yeah.
Well, you know that brother right there, yeah? Well, man, a lot of people, Allah man, guided through.
He's put in crazy work, man.
Wallah, man. Even people, they say to me, Imran, bro, you were the first to do this YouTube thing. No, Abu Bakr rose at Islam.
Nah.
I remember when I started practicing, that's what we used to watch. Jazakallahu khairah.
I mean, that was so inspiring, akhi. All of those stories. That was, for my iltizam, that was heavy. That was a heavy influence. So when that happened, then he brought me to the masjid, to his local masjid he used to go to. And those brothers, they were heavily into talab al-ilm. Brothers that wanted to go Dammaj and study in Dammaj and so on. So in that masjid, I met a brother who was Spanish French, and I told him, I would like to, he would treat me like the new guy in the masjid.
Yeah.
And I remember once he wanted to give me a gift, so he brought me to a bookstore and he gave me books. And while I was talking to him, I told him that I would like to learn Arabic. That something is being in the back of my mind and so on. But for me, it was like I was just mentioning it because he's like, that's probably impossible for me to do, but I would like to do so. Yeah. And the brother made it seem to me like, no, it's so easy. You just go to, there's an intensive program happening this summer in Egypt. Here's the leaflet and everything. What was that? So he made it seem so easy.
Would you say that has contributed towards your mentality now. Where it's like things that people are looking at, that's impossible. How are you going to get your book into Medina University? But now for you, it's like, bro, it's easy. Just step by step. Do you feel like that is like one of the starting points for you, maybe? Or?
That was, like I said, it was many different things. But in that masjid as well, there was a brother that came from the mud. He came from the mud, right? And he sat us down and told us that, Bismillah. So there was a brother that came from the match. He sat us down and he told us about everything he learned and so on. And he was there for just a few months. So I was like, yo, this seems easy, you know? This seems like it's just about doing it. So when the brother made it seem easy, he gave me the confidence. Yeah, just go, bro. Go to Egypt, learn Arabic. So it was a far-fetched thing, but when I went back to Spain, because at that time I was in Paris, sometime later I went back to Spain. I told my parents about it. And my mom was very against it in the beginning, but my father was like, yeah, I think, because of course he comes from Senegal and there's a tradition to learn the Quran, etc. So he told me, yeah, I think you should go, and that's it, man. When I went to, at that time I was just praying and had a willingness to learn the Arabic language. But once I went to Egypt, it was the environment, man. It wasn't even about that 3-month program. I didn't even learn much Arabic other than learn how to read or perfection my reading. But meeting all those brothers, and there was a brother that came from Ma'bar and he was teaching us Kitab al-Tawheed, Surah Thalatha, and seeing all of these different brothers and different shuyukh. I remember the Imam of the masjid was Sudani, Hafiz al-Quran, all Qira'at. Sheikh Talat Zahran was there as well. Sheikh was always teaching around there, the brothers. And yeah, man, that's it. Once I went there, I was like, yo, this is real. This thing is real. I gotta take this serious. And yeah, I went for a 3-month program. I stayed there for 6 years.
How old are you?
At that time when I went, I was 18. No, the first trip to Egypt was 18.
You were there for a 3-month program, you stayed there for 6 years.
Yeah.
That's the power of hijrah, man. That's the power, not even hijrah, but just leaving the lands of the Muslims.
Yeah. It was a different situation. And that's the thing. Going back to the question you asked me in the beginning, is that I generally felt that once I learned Arabic, before, when I was in Paris and I had all of these situations and I keep on hearing about Islam and the deen and different concepts of the deen, I couldn't really grasp it. I didn't understand it. I didn't know what it was to take the deen as a lifestyle. But once I learned Arabic, and it's just different, man. When you read the biographies of the Salaf and the ulama, and you see people studying on a daily basis, and the shuyukh, we had the opportunity to sit with the sheikh and back in personal meetings, and he tells you about how his life is, and then I remember as well there was a Sheikh Abu Amr al-Hajuri as well, came from Yemen to Egypt, and sitting down with him, and there was so many, the opportunity of meeting shuyukh, and that just solidifies your iman, and it shows you, it's almost like you read the hadith, but now you experience it. You in Egypt, I was paying, I think, 700 Junay Egyptian was like 120 pound, and not even having money for that. And I remember I was about to have a baby, and I didn't have no money to just have the baby, really. And I remember I was coming back from class, and a random brother, a Moroccan brother from France, which I don't really know like that either, he gave me a envelope. He said, no, don't open it right now. Just go home, brother. Don't worry. So I said, what is it though? He said, oh, don't worry. Just open it when you get home. So I went home and I opened it. It was a whole stack of money.
Subhanallah.
Like at that time, I think it was like 1,000 euros or something like that. But that's all I needed to have the baby. And it came out of nowhere. And days later, I asked him, why do you give it to me? Why me though? Like, I was thinking maybe he thinks he knows I'm broke or something. But he said, no, I was just, it comes from, he told me it comes from haram money. I just had to do zakah. And yeah, I just gave it to you randomly.
Allah Akbar, look at
He
that.
gave it to a bunch of brothers. That's
Look
the thing.
at that.
And from amongst those brothers, I was in. So,
رزق from Allah, wallah.
yeah. These type of situations, the things that makes you believe even more. Like with yaqeen. Like I have never been let down in 10 years by Allah Azza wa Jal.
I've never been let down.
I've never been let down.
ومن
You've been
يهاجر
through
في
hardships.
سبيل الله
No.
يجد في الأرض مراغما كثيرا واسعا.
No.
Whoever leaves his house for the sake of Allah and he's migrating to Allah, he's doing hijrah to Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's going to Allah and His Messenger. Allah said he will find, he will be taken care of. He will find like what he's looking for on the earth will be sufficed to be taken care of.
No.
With that said though, there are times, and Mahdi mentioned this on his podcast, where like Allah will take you to the edge of the cliff. You're holding on barely from your fingernails, and that's when the victory of Allah comes. That's when the aid comes. But those are very low times, low moments.
Yeah.
What kind of moments did you have that were similar to that?
The lowest times it was just not having money, man. I remember in the beginning I agreed with my parents that they were gonna take care of me. Of course that was for 3 months. But once I was there, my mom, Miskina, she felt bad to not send me money, so she would send me sometimes 100, 200 euros. And I was living according to how much money I had per month, which was like, it wouldn't go more than 400 euros. If I had 400 euros, I remember I would go grocery shopping and like buy tomato sauce. I remember at that time it was the tomato sauce and the cheese. It was like a luxury.
Oh, wow.
Otherwise, it was just bread with cheese and tomato with some salt, and that was like the best food I will have in the morning. And then alhamdulillah, the second year when I started memorizing the Quran in Al-Haramain, they would give us food at 1 p.m. It was literally white rice with a can of tuna and an apple or something like that, and that was my food. And sometimes it was hard from that perspective, because my father in 2014, I think he went to coma for like 8 days, and based on that he required a heart transplant. And my mom made me understand then, like, you gotta. So keep in mind, I went in 2012. Once I finished the program, I started working for that markaz. I was the secretary.
In Haramin?
No, in the Arabic Institute that I was learning at in Alexandria. And then the third year, that's kind of like when that happened to my father, and my mom told me, like, you gotta start, For my mom at that time, I was like, what are you doing there though? Like, you're not getting no shahada, no nothing. So it was kind of like a waste of time. No?
Shahada being certificate.
No, I'm a certificate.
What would you say are the pros and the cons from your experience of studying in Egypt?
So like I said, for me, it built that, it almost built like it's like a sath, a
Foundation?
No, sath is the opposite. So it's almost like I've got situations where my iman went so low that because of all of these different experiences, it couldn't go lower than that. Right? And sometimes I talk to people like this, but I'm talking from a Talib al-Ilm perspective. They say, "What? You start praying?" I'm like, "No, that's kufr, bro." What you talking about? So it went so low to the point of, like, for example, all you doing is 5 prayers a day, and even the 5 prayers, you like speeding them up and trying to go
last minute
last minute, and and those moments were difficult, man. I remember after spending 3 years in Egypt, it's the first time I went to London because I needed to work. Like I said, my mom made me understand, like, you gotta make your own money now. So I was delivering food. I went to London and I was delivering food with Uber Eats and Deliveroo, and it was hard, man. It was a shock, because imagine spending 3 years Talib al-Ilm every day, hifz, muraja, Arabic. You go to the majalis al-ilm and sittings of knowledge, etc., etc., and then you go to London. Every day you're around writers who are not Muslims. He's just talking about this girl and that girl and this, that, oh, the girl in that restaurant, when we go pick up the food, oh, music this, music that. And you with them. You got, like, it's so hard for you to not be involved in the conversations, even if you don't want to. They're going to come with you, oh, were you, oh, they probably, oh, yeah, the girl, she told me she like you, oh, all this type of situation. And little by little, your heart starts to, your nafs starts to become weak to it. So yeah, in those moments is when I was like, yo, if it wasn't because of the little knowledge I've learned, all of these different experiences. I remember this time when I didn't have this and all of a sudden Allah gave me this. Or I remember that time when I needed this and Allah gave me this. Those are the situations that build up to having iman alongside the books I've learned in Arabic that have been tested on, and the sheikh, we went back and forth with the sheikh and we benefited. And at that time I had memorized Usul al-Thalatha and Qawad al-Arba, and I felt like all of those things that I had, and of course at that time I think I had like 10 juz of the Quran or something like that. And want it or not, if you have that in your heart, it's a protection, akhi. It's a shield.
Wallahi, it's true.
Like, Allah wouldn't allow someone who He has allowed to have that in his heart and that knowledge of Him to completely be stripped away unless you really want it.
That I remember this is a conversation I had with Ustadh Abdurrahman, round about that time, it's like 2012, 2013, when we just started seeking knowledge. And I remember he said to me, Amran, he said, you're going to these reminders, and you go to these lectures, but that's like a injection that you get where it disappears after a while. He said, real ilm, you go to the toilet, it will follow you. Like, real ilm is you have it in your chest, like it will save you in situations
Wallahi.
you won't expect.
Wallahi.
And I remember that really hit me, man. And that's one of the reasons why, when we was giving da'wah to these guys in the streets, we would have them in the masjid studying Kitab Tawheed, studying fiqh, memorizing Thalath al-Usul, Arba'un al-Nawawiyah. And with the tawfiq of Allah Azza wa Jal, many of them, reason why Allah Azza wa Jal saved many of them, protected many of them, is through the ilm that they harness in their chest.
No.
Sometimes there's some brothers, I won't mention their name, there's one brother who I'll mention it now just for context, but then we can bleep it out inshallah ta'ala after, even though I don't think he'd mind me mentioning it. But brother Nasir Jalimi, you might have seen his stuff. So when he started joining social media, and at the beginning he used to do durus, study, learn. He kind of, everyone was worried, where's he going? Like he's not even talking about the deen no more. We were like, what's going on? I remember I used to always say to brothers, I said, he knows too much. I said, don't worry, he knows too much. Like, he studied Aqidah, he sat in the durus, his stuff he's memorized. Don't worry. It's a boomerang. Wherever you go, you're coming back.
No.
That's what ilm does.
Wallahi.
That's what ilm does. We started off talking with the Quran, and you mentioned that, you went there, you studied the Arabic language, and before that, you opened up the translation in Spanish and didn't really understand it. So now, having learnt the Arabic language, what was that moment when you opened the Quran and understood it? And how did that feel?
Wallahi, akhi, right now when sometimes, you're going through something in life and you walk towards the masjid to pray your fajr, your salat al-fajr, with these heavy thoughts of what you're going through in your life. And as you start, it's almost like, you see these in sound effects when you lower the noise reduction. So you start your salah, Allahu Akbar, and it almost goes like,
it's like noise cancellation.
Yeah, and you only hear the ayat now. And wallahi, I feel like, I remember this time with Abdurrahman, the brother that was just in the podcast. I remember at that time I was going through whatever I was going through. I came from Mauritania and I went to the masjid, his local masjid. And that's exactly what happened. I started Fajr and yeah, I couldn't help but share a tear, man, because those ayat were directly talking to me about what I was going through. I can't remember the ayat right now, but it's in so many different situations. You go through something, and especially the ayat where Allah starts the ayat, Allah, didn't Allah do this? It's like, subhanallah. It's almost and when you learn Arabic as well, the tone and the expression as well, you see Allah being Al-Aziz. Didn't I do this? Then why that? You generally feel like it's talking to you. But when you read it in English, it's almost like it's that emotional understanding that is lost through translation, and you just read like words. It's just words. It's not an experience anymore. It's not an emotional experience that you feel that is somebody that has 100% authority on you talking to you while you are going through a situation.
You know, so amazing, Akhi. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إِنَّكَ لَا تُلَقَّى الْقُرْآنَ مِنْ لَدُنْ حَكِيمٍ عَلِيمٍ. Muhammad, you're going to take this Quran directly. Talaqi.
No.
You're going to take it directly in your ear from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
No.
But that same word Allah uses in Surah Qaf when He's talking to all of us. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَذِكْرَى لمن كان له قلبا أو ألقى السمع وهو شهيد.
لمن كان له قلب
بارك الله فيه. Who has a heart and who has an ear that he brings forth. So talaqi, the Prophet had it, right? He had direct revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But even for me and you, when we're reading the Quran, there's talaqi as well. We have to make ourselves as if Allah's talking directly to me and you.
No.
And when you read those ayat, his ayat came down on the Prophet ﷺ, but it's also talking to me in regards to what I'm going through right now. But the thing is, without the Arabic, man, that's...
Yeah, even yesterday I was watching a sheikh that studied with I don't want to mess up his name, صاحب أضواء البيان.
الشنقيطي.
Sheikh Muhammad Amin al-Shinqiti. And he was talking about how much effort and emphasis he was putting in al-lugha for the sake of a tafsir. And I truly believe that that's, yeah, if you don't have a lugha, you will, yani the more knowledge you have about a lugha, about the Arabic language, the more layers of understanding, and not only layers of understanding of the ayah, but the more synchronicities. Like now, this ayah syncs to that other ayah, and this other meaning in the Arabic language,
or to that hadith, or
and
to
that hadith, and that's when you start talking about, you know, going to sittings. You have just information, but this is knowledge. When you are able to link one ayah to that hadith, to this meaning, to this qaida, to this principle, to this thing, to that thing, that's when you have knowledge, and it is a whole different experience reading the Quran. But when you have just information and you read the ayah, just go through it, oh yeah, wow, subhanallah, all right, next one. You can't ponder on it, man. But when you read one ayah, like how many times I'm reading to my sheikh now, and I generally have to stop the muraja, because it's like, and I read that ayah like within 10 days, times and times and times. But it's like,
at that moment you got something else.
It's like subhanallah, or something you have experienced yesterday, and you see the ayah now. Now you look at the ayah in a different way, or it links to another situation or something like that. And it's just ongoing. This is why I think you can never. That's the thing. When you learn the Arabic language and you, on top of that, you gain knowledge. The more knowledge you have, the less shab'an you get about reading the Arabic language. The less full, like yani, you can't.
I'm done with
you can't ever have too much Quran. You can't ever read too much Quran unless you physically can't anymore. Your mind will always enjoy it. Subhanallah.
Sheikh Muhammad, barakallahu feek. The last question I wanted to ask you is the month of Ramadan, when this comes out, there's still some time left for Ramadan. What advice would you give to the listeners? What's one thing they can do to make the most of the remaining days left of Ramadan?
Well, I would say, first of all, you got to go back to the ayah, right? شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس أو يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. O you who have believed, who believe us. The siyam is being prescribed to you like those before you who has been prescribed to as well. For لعلكم تتقون. And لعل in the Arabic language, it can be translated in different ways. And it's almost like perhaps you. Naam, when you meet somebody, you say لعلك بخير. Hopefully you're good. Hope you're good. Perhaps I hope that, right? So لعل is a taraji, to hope. So Allah hopes that with you doing siyam, you find more righteousness. So Ramadan should come, and this was incredible, subhanAllah, about modern researches, right? There's this research that says on average it takes 21 days to 30 days to adopt a habit or drop a habit, right? These like modern researches. When you look at the Quran, when you look at Islam and Siyam, for 12 months you adopt habits. You know, your nafs adopts habits, your phone, your gatherings, where you are at, what you listen to, etc., etc. Then Allah gives you the opportunity 30 days to drop those bad habits that you have adopted and adapt good habits that you don't have right now. So I think when somebody makes these as an objective for his Ramadan, and you have the intention of really applying the Quran, you should proactively seek to, okay, what are my bad habits and my good habits? If this is my bad habit, my phone, my gatherings with this type of people, my listening to this, don't just do it as a pause and then after Ramadan you go back at it. Like generally put the intention of stopping that thing. And as we know, the 4 conditions of repentance, first one is that you leave the thing, you leave the sin. You know, perhaps it might be a habit that is leading you to a sin. So you have to be long-sighted as well. Okay, this thing is not haram, but it's pushing you to do these other things that are actually haram. So leave the thing, they have the intention to not go back to it. And then make sure if it's somebody that you took haqq from, a right from, make sure you give it back. Now I have the intention to not go back to the thing.
Barakallah feek.
So after Ramadan, everybody should have that intention, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Barakallah feek, Ustadh Muhammad. Wallahi, jazakallah khairan. Very inspirational, and hopefully a lot of people found benefit from that. Inshallah, if you guys, man, feel inspired to learn the Arabic language, then
it's free. It's free. Do it. Complete the course. You get your money back.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah.
Why would you not do it?
Allahumma barik. Yeah, sarahatan. Check out the link below, inshallah ta'ala.
And if you want more episodes with Ustadh Muhammad, then let us know in the comments below, inshallah.
You get to say, I've done the curriculum before it went into Medina University. After that, everyone's going to be doing it.
Actually, fun fact, there's a student, he completed under his institute. He went to Medina University. They told him, you don't need the Mahad al-Lugha.
Wow.
Go straight to the Kulliyah.
Allahumma barik.
No.
There you go.
So that's facts.
Have you got a testimony from him?
Yes. Actually, yeah, we have an interview on my YouTube channel. No.
MashaAllah.
But he didn't want to mention that.
Let's conclude it.
Okay.
As well.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Oh, okay. With that said, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.